Hey, so today we're going to have a play with the 12 volt electrics and see if we can install an additional power socket to charge my projector. If you haven't seen my projector setup, I'll put a link in the top corner right now. If you have seen it, carry on watching and hopefully I won't electrocute myself. Okay, so as I said, want to put a socket, USB socket in place to charge the projector, but also to plug the Google Chromecast in so that it will always be powered whether or not we're on 12 volts or 230 volt hookup, just to make life a little simpler rather than setting it up, setting it down the whole time and using battery packs. So what I bought is this little guy here. It's a very thin faceplate that kind of mounts on top of something, and it's got a couple of cables coming out the back. I'll drop a link in the description below. It folds away like so, and what I'm going to try and do is tap into the 12 volt electrics. So I've had a little look around the van, specifically at the wiring loom for the lights that I'll show you just under here. So these guys, they've got a little individual switch, and what I found is that in this cupboard at the back, just here, let's get white light on, just up here you can see a cable that comes in, and that powers all of those switches. I've tested it with a voltmeter to check that there is 12 volts coming out of it, and there is. So I'm just struggling to turn this off. There. Yeah, so I've tested it with a voltmeter and there is 12 volts coming out of it. So what I'm going to do is try and tap into that. Now I've got a few bits and pieces to try to make that simpler job. Whether or not that works or not, we will find out. But the plan is to drill a small hole here so that this sits flush on there. Cables go through here into the back, connect up to that 12 volt line, and then I'm going to try and tidy it all up so that it doesn't get caught when we're putting things in and out, like nice warm cozy blankets. And that will mean then that the USB cable that goes into here, I can tack it away along here into this socket. It also means, it also has the benefit of meaning that when we convert this area into the bed, that there will be a 12 volt socket just above the head of whoever's on that side, so you can just unplug the projector and charge a phone off it, what have you. So let's get started and hopefully not destroy the power. Okay, first things first, to check whether or not the power is on or not. So as you can see, those lights are not coming on. I'm going to leave it in the on setting because it just means that it's a nice obvious indicator to me that the power is on, and I shouldn't go putting my fingers anywhere when I'm testing things. What I'm going to use are over here. So what I've got are these little guys. What they do is they allow you to wrap that around two cables, clamp it down, and then plug in the socket into there, and it just branches off from the power. Nice and simple, nice and clean, no cutting wires. That's the theory anyway. I've then got red and black cable for positive and negative, and some insulation tape to bind it all together, tack it away nicely. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to do before I start drilling any holes or anything, I just want to tap into the power and make sure that it's going to work. So I'm going to take one of these, clamp it around the two cables, and then turn the 12 volts on and check it with an ammeter to make sure that there is power coming out, 12 volt power, because it all kind of hinges, this idea all hinges on the effectiveness of these little clips. So let's do that to start. I'm going to get a stool. By the way, these head torches are great for jobs like this, because obviously whilst I'm doing this, I haven't got any power, so I can't see, but these light things up nicely. Optimistically, I'm going to try and move you in there so you might be able to see what it is I'm doing. Ugh. Okay, so this cable was connected to this socket here, and I've just taken them apart. Now this side is the live side, and then this is the spur running to all the lights. So what I want to do is put it on this one here, so that it's still something you can disconnect the power from if you need to. And what I've untwisted this a bit to try and get a period of the two wires being straight, and I'm now going to have to move you out of the way because I can't do two things at once. Okay, so I've still got right, time to drill. Just go through the hole. This shouldn't be the hard bit. Part of it is that my hand is too big. There we go. Now just to connect it up. Well, that's a bad sign. Bugger. So it appears that whatever I just did has tripped something, and we have no lights in the back of the van. Bugger. Okay, so as you can see, there's a red light on the 12 volt side of the Sargent. Okay, time to Google what that means, but I'm guessing that it means that I've tripped the fuse. Okay, so you can see the lights are back on. Basically the fuse that I just showed you that was red had blown, and and I had to disconnect the socket in order to and then replace the fuse. So this hasn't worked, and I think, seeing as it's getting a bit late now, what I might do is tidy up and do some more research. Okay, so it's a few days later and it's all working now. So what I've learnt is, once I'd replaced the fuse that I tripped, basically on the end of the socket were these two cables, and when I put them into the little T junction, I hadn't cut off the ends of the exposed metal, and so I think inside there they were crossing over and shorting. So what I did was cut the ends off before I put them into the junction and then clamp them down, and they've all worked really nicely. So this is what it looks like. So there is a dull red light, but I've got, firstly, it's kind of in the corner, and so I don't think it's going to cause any disturbance at night because this shelf will block it, but if it does, I can probably just tape it up. This is then the USB cable that runs and plugs into the projector, and as you can see, the projector is working really nicely. So everything's working perfectly. If you've got any questions, please let me know. A little bit of a learning curve, but what's really good is, as a result of doing this, I've learned a lot about where the fuse point is in the van. I've got a lot of spare fuses now, which is probably sensible to have anyway. And ultimately, I've made the system much quicker and easier to use for Jen and the kids. So, if you'd like to see more tips and tricks videos like this, or you've got any questions, put comments in below. But please like and subscribe, because it really helps the channel. The more that I can grow this channel, the more people I can help. And that's ultimately what I would love to do. So, tune in next time.